worry, my buyer specialist will be here in just a moment.
And then you have to talk at 10 minutes.
People, how funny would that be? I love to have a full service team. My buyer specialist, and my transaction manager. And like you see this little puppet arm come up.
Welcome to TP. Good morning. All right. Good afternoon, Keller Williams, Milwaukee Southwest. How's everybody doing today? Good. All right. Well, I'm going to need all of your energy this way because I'm a little tired today. And I figured if you guys give today, I'm super excited to see everybody. To how he's thinking about the next iteration of the real estate industry. Super valuable. Who was in the room? Who was here for that? Okay. If you guys see a hand up and you want to know what he was talking about, go chat with one of these people because he gave, I think, plan and purpose down the road. So with that, we're going to dive in today. We're going to start talking about your value as a buyer's agent. Talk about how you think about buyer's agent. We've got some of our people here. Is Nate here?
He's coming up. He's aware that he's talking.
Okay. Nate and Tony and Carly are going to be sharing how they think about presenting their value as a buyer's agent. So we're going to dive into that. And then we have a ton of events that I want you guys to be thinking about. And we also have different opportunities to dial into our community. So we're going to start with one of those. Okay. Mission, vision, values. We always start with that. And one of the things that, nope. Did we lose that?
That we go. There we go. That one's good.
Okay. All right. Well, we're just all gonna look over here. Everybody look this way. One of the things that we talk about and we absolutely believe is to whom much is given, much is expected, right? And we've talked about this a couple times. If you're in this room, if you have a roof over your head, if you have people who love you, if you have clothes on your back, which right now is all of us, thank God. You have a lot, right? And there's some people who are really, really struggling in our communities. And we want to make sure that we can be there for a way that's really for them in a way that's meaningful. And one of the things that we want to do is leverage our power as a group. So we have connected with the United Way. And it's kind of our fourth quarter opportunity to give to the community. One of the things that we know is that the United Way touches so many different people, that there's not too many folks who are not influenced and impacted by their work. So we felt it would be a wonderful way to kind of aggregate our giving power and really make a difference. So Charlie did the math for me once, although I do like math. I like having it done for me often. But one of the things he talked about was that if everybody who was coming to our Christmas party gave $20, we could raise upwards of $20,000 for this organization. And I think that's amazing. And the Christmas party is going to be amazing. And we want you guys to have a wonderful night and just think of how much better it will be when you know that you have helped somebody else by coming to that party. So I want to share a little video on what the United Way is all about. And then I have a QR code so that you guys can dive into thinking about donations. So here we go. We're going to show that. Okay, so that's the opportunity that all of us have as we think about the end of the year. And here is, oh, no, we did that already. Get to the next one. We're having all sorts of tech issues, which is not new, you guys. There we go, we did it, okay. If you are interested and want to just give now, scan this QR code. It gives you the opportunity to think about what, how to participate here. And I wanted everybody to know that the market centers have started the campaign. We are $5,000, correct, Michelle? Michelle, 5,000 for the United Way. Our market centers contributed.
Oh, okay.
Yes, okay. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So we are in it with you, and we're excited to be a part of the community. I'm gonna take a little tiny break and see if we can get the other air team working, you guys. Hold on just 1 second.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. And our other mission moment today is gonna be shared by Taylor. So, as soon as we're up and ready, come up. Wanna explain a little things?
Slides and you know the.
Good. All right. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, today I have an ask of everybody. So, well, last week I met with I'm on the Waukesha Parade Memorial Commission, and we had a meeting about our funding. So just to kind of dive in, give you a little backdrop on what we're doing here. So the Main Street Parade Memorial is going to be unveiled next week, Tuesday, on the 2-year anniversary of the parade tragedy. So, how that ties into me is, for those of you that don't know, my mom was killed in this parade, so that's why it's so meaningful to me. But so much more goes along with that. Ever since this happened, I have built a very strong family of people in my community that are very strong, resilient, and we are there for one another. And we really need a place that we can go for just remembrance and just kind of a place of comfort, which is why we're trying to get this memorial park built. So what we're doing is raising funding. We have a goal of $1.5 million, and this is where we're at so far. But we do have a couple of ways that we're trying to bring that number down, which we'll get to at the end, which is how you guys can all help me today. So during my meeting last week, I kind of had a bunch of aha moments, like, oh, I'm in a network of realtors. Like, we really have something here that we can help. So just a little bit of stats for you, because whenever Charlie speaks and does his stats, that's always my favorite part of the meeting.
We all aspire to be Charlie. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yep, just a little bit. So just to give you an idea of all the donors that we've had so far, it's really, really impressive. They've come from all over the place, far and wide. Next one, please. And some of our recent fundraising efforts by the community have really been done within City Hall. They are busting butt, like they are donating right about out of their paychecks. They're donating their time, their energy, and I figure I can do the same. Next one, please. So some of our biggest donors are as listed here. Something I'm very, very proud of is that Citizens Bank is at the top of that list. That was where my mom worked. And that's who she was marching with in the parade, so that makes me really happy. Also, as pictured, my family at the bottom is kind of front and center. We did the BJS Construction 5K, which raised money for that as well. First family 5K, by the way. So that was really cool and fun. And then the last one. So when this slide came up at our meeting, I was like, this sounds kind of familiar to what we do here. We make phone calls, we talk to people all the time, and we know a lot of people. Last one. So this is how you can help. We need contractors. Who do we all know a lot of? Contractors. So if you could please reach out to your network, ask them if they would be interested in donating their time and effort and energy to this project. As pictured here, this is going to be a part of the Memorial Park. The Waukesha has been doing a community tile project where the community can get involved and be a part of healing and art, to have everybody get a little piece of themselves on the wall. So that I just thought was a really cool picture. But these are all the things we're looking for help with, and we know a lot of people, so please ask them, see if anybody's willing. And we're all about creating win-win situations here. So it's really good for getting the project done and also really good for our construction vendors that they can do something helpful for our community.
It's also really easy outreach.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, hey, do you want to buy or sell real estate? You can say, hey, do you want to be part of building a community? I got it. Yeah. Yep. So,
I have an inside track on someone.
Yeah.
do.
I don't know if they're in this
Why
meeting,
is this
so.
so not surprising?
Oh.
Because everybody also wants to be just a tiny little bit scuffed.
A
No,
little bit.
Jeremy and his dad helped build the park at Malone for,
Oh.
it was, the mission of it was, that it was accessible for all, so. And Jeremy's sister is, has a disability as well, so it's very like, very purposeful for him, but like him and his dad were like the main contractors of that whole park. So I would ask Jeremy, like
Thank you.
today.
Yeah, please, like, we need all the help we can get. So that's a way you can help that doesn't involve money, but if you did want to donate any money to the cause, on the back of the cards that are on the tables is a QR code that you can donate straight to there. Otherwise, you guys can Venmo me if you don't want to pay the fees, and I will cut a check to Waukesha Strong Fund myself. There is another way as well. If you want t-shirts, they will be in my office. They're $20 donation for the t-shirt. These ones are pretty basic, but you get the gist. But I'm currently working with Burlap and Lace, which is a downtown business, for getting the cool t-shirts that are the comfy t-shirts that have cool designs. So if you guys need any more information or want to help in any other way, please see me directly. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. And to keep going on the idea of swag, I wanted to share that we have partnered with a company, Just a Game Impressions. And if you need or want any imprinted KW swag, you can order from here. Teams or folks that have branding, particular your own logo, you can also get that on your swag. And the store will be open until I believe the end of next week or the week after. So there's a little video here. You can watch the video. Shows you how to order, what exactly you need to do this. And then you can go directly to the store, and we'll send this out after the meeting. But if you've just been thinking, gosh, for Christmas, I really want my logo on my vest, now's the time to do it. Good? All right, excellent. Okay, the other thing that we need, if you haven't yet, please respond to the Energage survey. It ends November 15th. It is November 13th. That means it closes in 2 days, and we really, really want your feedback. We don't get any of the particulars. It's all very confidential, but we have rated very highly in the past. I'm hoping that we continue that trend. It serves all of us really well when those numbers come back high. And when they don't, it just tells us we have stuff to learn. So either way, please respond, and we're happy to have those results come up. And now we're gonna throw it over to Defender Dawn to dive into some compliance things for us. Thanks for coming up.
Yes, my pleasure.
Yeah.
All right. So a couple of things to know, so some new condo underwriting rules, that were effective, last month. And this applies to condos, whether or not they're FHA financing for the buyer or conventional. So a couple new rules, so lenders are gonna be required to ensure that condo projects are not in need of critical repairs. So there's some extra documents that they're gonna be asking for, so just expect this, that this is, it doesn't matter if it's an FHA loan or a conventional. So they're gonna need to review these documents, to make sure that they're meeting Fannie Mae's physical condition requirements, so they're gonna need all building inspections that were completed within the last 3 years, and then any follow-up inspections from that. Or the most recent building inspections, if they exist, and the last 2 to 3 years of association meeting minutes. So just know that that's going to be something
So
happening.
don't buy condos.
So,
Especially not ones downtown.
but why is this happening? If you guys remember that Miami condo, that
May or may not have a
collapsed,
collapse.
you know, so there are a lot of condo projects in this country that are starting to show their age. And so this is just some assurance for the lenders that the condo is in good condition. We're trying to, keep that from happening, trying to protect your buyers' investments. So this is gonna be all loans secured by units and condo projects and co-ops with 5 or more attached units. So if it is a small condo, 4 or fewer units, this is not going to apply, but any of those projects that are 5 or more. Or if it's a detached unit, it also won't apply. So do you guys have any questions about that? Yes.
What is a good critical condition?
So that's a good question. That would be determined by the underwriters. So any, yep, that's why we're passing it along, just so you have a heads up that, they'll be looking for those reports just to make sure that the condo's in good condition.
The process of fixing it up.
That's a good question. So, good question. Yes, Alex,
Is this something the lenders are gonna ask for?
lenders will ask for it. Yep, so just if you have if you are listing a condo, just be prepared to have those, with those documents. Yeah,
I'll chime in real quick. I mean, this has been implemented for well over a year, so if you didn't experience any problems now, you probably won't.
So
Most
we can
condos.
still do condos?
What?
I said we can still do condos.
Yes.
Okay, just, yeah.
So there really isn't much concern. The reason was the building collapse. Also, there was a condo here in Waukesha that they had to vacate and tear down. So it's just really the major structural things. Most condos that are having roofs redone or concrete redone or things that are actually budgeted is not gonna be a problem for any lender.
cool.
So it's just the major, like, building's gonna collapse type of stuff.
And the association hasn't made any.
Yeah, and they don't have the
Plans.
money to
Yeah.
fix it.
Yep.
That's when the problem happens.
Cool. Any other questions? Thanks for that, John. Okay, the other thing to share today, just make sure that as a listing agent, you're asking, when you're sending out your earnest money instructions, please encourage buyer's agents to have their buyers submit earnest money via trust funds, versus sending a check in the mail or even versus dropping off. Trust funds is gonna be more secure especially than dropping a check in the mail or dropping it in our Dropbox outside. And then also, if a transaction does have a camera, we can issue a refund sooner because we do not need to wait for that check to clear the bank. So right now, what happens if a buyer sends in earnest money, it's a check, we're gonna have to wait for that check to be deposited and to clear the bank before we can issue an earnest money refund. You have
Yes,
something to add to that?
you're so polite.
Oh.
I love that.
Oh,
What I want, right now we have 50% usage of trust funds, you guys. We've been talking about risk mitigation for a while. This is a great way to mitigate your risk. So what she says is strongly encourage, and like, if there's any way possible, let's make it happen. Let's get to at least 75% usage next year, right? It's easier for all of you. There's a ton of fraud out there. There are evil actors, bad actors, princes in other countries who want our money, all of those things. Trust funds is a way to make sure that doesn't happen. The real ones can have it, but the fake ones, we don't want them to get it just accidentally. And this is a great way to do it. So when you hear Dawn say, please use it, like absolutely use it unless there's somebody who, for some reason, absolutely can't.
Let's try to check.
Let's try to check.
It's not.
Then that would be a reason that you absolutely couldn't. I don't know, because they don't understand RIF. Maybe they're in league with the princess. I don't know. I don't know.
Makes your job easier too.
That's true.
Oh,
yeah.
You don't have to get the receipt, it just comes.
Correct.
Yeah.
So many reasons.
Yes.
So many reasons.
The bonus is that then Brooke will have to send out fewer mystery earnest money emails, and then you won't get those emails as well. So that's the other.
But everybody loves her emails.
They do love her emails, but she can just email us about something.
She can email about something else, and we've got a lot more to talk about. so.
Awesome, cool, thank you.
More emails on different topics. Okay, good? We're all good? All right. So the other thing that we want to talk about is tech. I'm going to bring Kathleen up. She's got some new and exciting command updates, and I'm going to let her handle the tech. So much fun.
Hi, good afternoon. I haven't seen you guys in a while, so hi. Okay, so it's the holidays and Lindsay has created lots of easy use smart plans and social media posts for the holidays that you can just plug and play right now. So don't think about it, right? So grab and go marketing materials. She has all of the holidays in a smart plan and a social media post. You can find the social media posts on our KW Realty MKE website under the agent hub, and then there's a folder that says marketing assets. That's where you'll see all these social media posts. And then again, they're also all in smart plans as well, ready for you to go. So there's also a list for winterizing your home. And then there's also the list of the Milwaukee area Christmas tree farms. So, which is really cool to send out right now. Again, you can also turn these, especially the winterize your home and Christmas tree farms, into postcards to mail out to your databases as well. You can request those on the marketing concierge on the website as well. Okay, so lots of easy plug and play posts and emails for the holidays. I've helped a couple of agents literally schedule like 7 smart plans for the rest of the year just to be done with it. So go do that today. Then you don't think about it. And then our exciting new command update that we've been asking about for a few years now. You can merge duplicate contacts. Yay! I know, it's exciting. The one caveat, just to make sure, is that the contact that'll be merged into the primary, so we'll call it the secondary, cannot have any smart plans or opportunities attached to it. That's like just making you aware of that, okay? So it's a bulk action feature, meaning you select your 2 contacts, go to the box that says select bulk action, and then you'll see merge as one of the items in your bulk action fields. Okay, so then it'll bring you to a screen where you designate which one will be the primary, and then it'll merge the secondary information into the primary record. It will not override any information. So you will end up with primary email and then an additional email that came from the secondary record. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So nothing will be lost. It'll all be merged into the one record. And then you might want to do just a little bit of cleanup on it. Okay. It'll move over tags, notes, all of that. Okay. I know some admins are like, yeah, right now. Yep. So there you go.
Does that mean that if you're sending an email out to command, they're both gonna get it?
No, so smart plans and any emails like that only get sent to that primary email.
Okay. Awesome. Love it. So there's no reason not to be talking to your folks right now. There's so much going on. And one of the things I really like to think about is that, you know, transactions occur every 7 years. On average, right? So we really want to have things to talk about to people in between those 7 years. And if it can be things that bring them value, all the better. I saw on that sample, there was a pie flavor. We've got Pie Day coming up. We've got holidays. We've got, you know, there's so many reasons to be talking to your people that there's no reason not to be out there calling, talking, texting, okay? And if you need help, I'm sure that you can schedule a meeting with Kathleen. Okay, so one of the things that we have also been talking about, and another thing to be reaching out to your clients about, is some of the change that's happening in our industry right now. We started last week, we had a conversation, bless you, with our legal consult to kind of give us the legal lay of the land. Every time I dive into this topic, one of the things I hear over and over again is get really, really good. We will have to become really, really good at explaining our value as buyer's agents. So one of the things that we decided to do, you guys want to come up? Is talk to people who do buyer's agent, a lot of buyer business in our market center, and have a conversation with them about how they take the business that they do and elevate it to a high level. So we're gonna dive in a little bit and find out how these folks here run their business or think about representing buyers. And what I want you to do is not necessarily think, oh, I need to do it exactly like they do. But I want you to think about all the pieces in a buyer transaction and how you can elevate them. So this is kind of a template to think about how you can raise your game as you're working with clients, right? So I'm gonna start with this gentleman here. Who are you again?
Tony Jean Greco, Minor Realty Group.
Perfect, okay. And would you share with us just a little bit about how you think, how you and your team think about working with buyers and the value an agent brings as a buyer's agent?
Sure. And just a disclaimer, I'm not a buyer specialist. We have dedicated buyer specialists on the team, but as the director of sales / ISA, OSA, I have a lot of these great conversations up front before they transition. And so that's a very general question.
It's a very general
Do you have a more specific area you'd like me to focus on?
For a reason, right?
Okay.
It's a general question for
Yeah,
a
all right.
reason, because you guys, but the value you bring really depends on what where your expertise is and what your processes are.
Okay.
So I would, while you guys are thinking about this, you think about, where is your value most?
So
Start there.
I would say that our value is most found in our ability to ask really good questions and identify what concerns, challenges, questions, or obstacles that specific buyer is experiencing, okay? Because your value proposition can be in all these different areas. And if you just start talking about why you're amazing and all the things that you do versus asking good questions about what their goals are and what they are concerned about, you start to provide solutions to their unique questions or challenges. So that in itself is a value proposition. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
And do you always, what venue do you have this conversation in?
So we have a pretty set structure that if we have a new buyer opportunity, whether it's a referral or a realtor.com lead or whatever, we connect with them over the phone and we have what we call a buyer consultation conversation. Should only take about 10 to 15 minutes to identify, their motivation, their timeline, and what they're looking to accomplish. And then from there, we want to set up a more deeper dive strategy session, either virtually or in person. And we also send them a follow-up new client questionnaire for them to complete that provides a lot of additional information.
Okay, so you have a conversation on the phone.
Yep.
That consists of X amount of questions?
Depending on the individual, it's maybe 10 to 15 questions.
Is there one or two most important that you need to
Yeah.
call out?
Yep. The number one is motivation.
Okay.
What are they excited about? What are they not currently receiving in their current home that they want to get in the new home? What is the pain? What is the pleasure? Really diving into that, because especially right now with interest rates where they are and limited inventory, unless someone is truly motivated and has a big reason why, it may be difficult to help them accomplish their goal.
So we've had that conversation, you follow up with so nice talking to you today, I'm gonna send you a questionnaire that I'm gonna ask you to fill out, and I'll see you Friday on Zoom to dive deeper.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anything that you wish I was asking right now about this particular process that I'm not?
No, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nate?
Yes.
Hi,
Hi.
how you doing?
Good.
Good. How about you? How do you, start the conversation with buyers?
So it depends on the lead source for me. And I'd say about 50% are gonna be referrals or past clients or sphere of influence. And then 40% are internet leads for me. And so if it's like a past client or a referral, it's definitely a warmer lead, but I'm usually starting everyone off with a phone call. Similar to him, where I'm asking questions, I'm trying to understand their motivation, their timeline, and their ability, if they've gotten pre-approved or if they're buying cash. So it's really just those three things up front. And then determining what the next best step for them is based on when they're looking to do it or why, that sort of thing. And usually that looks like, I don't do a lot of in-person consultations just for efficiency, to be honest. And usually we'll just start, if they're ready, we'll start looking for homes and start getting into houses and then having those conversations over the phone, because the way that I do it, I work with Dylan as our showing agent, so I don't actually meet them basically until closing, so.
So you're having the conversation, Dylan's out showing the home.
Yep.
What happens in between you and Dylan to make that customer and client feel that they're not repeating, they've been heard, they know
Yeah.
exactly what's happening?
Well, so when it's my buyer that Dylan's showing, I'm still in communication with them when they're scheduling. We have a 3-way group chat. And then, so, we're scheduling. After Dylan shows them, he calls me and lets me know what he learned while talking to them, because obviously they're having conversations and building a relationship as well. And then I will call them afterward, kind of repeating what I've heard, make sure it's the same. Any questions that they told him that they wanted answered, I'll get answered and call them. And just making sure that every time we interact with them, they're also interacting with me. Yeah.
And you'd also brought up are you pre-approved? Are you ready to buy the home?
Mhm.
Talk about when they, like, brand new, no, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
What do you do there?
I will typically just get them in touch with my lender to start that conversation.
Okay.
And I just say, if they aren't pre-approved, I'll just ask a question. Again, like he said, everything revolves around questions. I try to ask more questions than I speak. But typically, if they're not pre-approved, I'll just say, hey, great. Would it be okay if I introduce you to a lender to get you started on that process to be able to purchase a home? Because obviously you're not gonna buy in cash, you just told me, so you're gonna need a loan. And they say, sure, I do a text intro. And then if they are pre-approved, I'll say, okay, great. Would you be opposed to me introducing you to one of my lenders that might have better programs available for you? Right now, it's a great time just to make sure you're getting the best deal. And usually when I say, would you be opposed? They're like, no, I'm not opposed.
Okay.
So,
Okay. And do they have an idea when you're setting well, we'll talk about setting expectations in that. So that's next question.
all right.
Carly.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
So mine is kind of similar to what they both already said. I start off with a phone call usually. A lot of my business right now has been referral based, so they're a little bit warmer leads. So sometimes it's even just sending them a text like, hey, you have time to jump on a quick call. Phone call is usually about 10 minutes. And I'm just introducing myself, finding out if they're a first time buyer or not, kind of getting like a timeline. And then seeing if they're pre-approved, and really I'm just trying to get that buyer's consultation to meet with them in person. I noticed that for me, I am able to like actually secure the client a lot better if I can see them face to face, whether it's on Zoom or in person. I tried doing like meeting people at showings, and sometimes it works, but sometimes I feel like I don't get that connection. So that's what I've been focusing on the most. I send a follow-up email once we decide when we're gonna meet. The email is a very brief overview of like what we're gonna cover during the buyer consultation, and then like a quick intake form just so I can get more contact information from them. And then the way my consultation goes based off of whether they're a first-time buyer or they're a repeat buyer. And even if they're a repeat buyer, it depends on when they first purchased their home, like what type of education I'm gonna do at the consultation.
Okay, awesome. So I've heard it said that that communication problems are one of the reasons for them is missed expectation setting, right? It's super important to set really good expectation setting. So as you guys are having these conversations, I'm gonna be super curious about one that is important to you one that you find, people might not really understand, or the biggest one that you're kind of dealing with to help them have a smooth process? And you guys have all touched on a couple different ones, so think about that, we're gonna ask Max.
Hey guys, Max Spice, two-time gold.
Yes, you are.
That's do any of you guys charge buyer agency fee, whether or not it's refundable at the point of close?
There's two questions there.
Is,
One, do we
do
charge
you
it?
guys charge buyer agency fee? If you do you refund that back to them if the sale is successful?
Yes, I would say probably 70, if not 80% of our transactions on the buyer and the listing side have a minimum $495, but that can increase all the way up to a $1,500 BAC, buyer administrative compensation, BAC. Also, we do charge a minimum to represent buyers. Our minimum is $3,500. And no, it's not refundable. I mean, it's paid out when we successfully close and do our job and accomplish their goal. So there's no compensation if we don't help them find and purchase the home. But when we help them close, in addition to the 2 or 2.4% or whatever is being offered on the MLS, there is that additional BAC and or minimum due.
I think that's a great question. We're talking about this because comp is being pushed, right? How buyer's agents are being compensated is in question right now. We know everything is negotiable. And the more you kind of expose yourself to different ways of doing it, the more you can feel what's comfortable for you and how you might go about making sure that you're comped at the highest level for the work that you're doing, right? So, really curious. Thank you for sharing that.
I don't charge it.
Just to piggyback that really quick, for everyone in the room, just personal professional opinion, I would start getting very, very good about talking about compensation. And if that compensation is not being offered by the seller or the listing specialist, what that looks like. We've been having that conversation with buyers for probably about 2 years now, because we work with so many investors and because we were getting so creative with finding for sale by owners. And when you're working with investment properties and it's a $60,000 or $80,000 investment property, and you got to put in 5 times the work and double the paperwork and everything, you start setting minimums for those investors. And those investors are happy to pay that because of the value you provide to them. And then also for FSBOs, a lot of FSBOs do not want to pay, for sale by owners do not want to pay any real estate commission to anybody. So you start getting good about having those conversations of how you build it into the purchase price and how you can get compensated. So with everything that's going on right now, I really hope that we're not moving in a direction where there's going to be no, cooperative commissions offered. At the same time, be proactive. Start working on those compensation conversations with your buyers to set those expectations, instead of all of a sudden that 1 out of 100 situation presents itself, and now the person's like, well, what do you mean I have to pay you? I thought that I didn't have to pay you. Well, if you read the buyer agency agreement, it doesn't say that they don't have to compensate you. It states that they're responsible for your compensation. It just so happens there's a lot of times cooperative compensation being offered.
So lots of different ways to make this happen and to think about this. And this is why we're having these conversations. And actually, to reach back last week, we were in script practice and somebody said, well, I would never take a buyer on for less than this. Very clear. Like, this is I wouldn't do this for less than. If you don't know what that number, sometimes it's really hard to understand what that value is until somebody wants to underpay you, right? You don't know. You just assume that everything's going along fine. And then someone says, great, I'm gonna give you $50 to close this house with me. What? Nope, not gonna work. Okay, so in that time between I heard this and I have a reaction, what's going on in your head is this is all the value I provide. This is why we're having this conversation. This is all the value I provide. I want you guys to be really good at articulating all of the value you provide, so that when somebody does come and say, hey, what are you asking for compensation? You have a really good answer for that. So you do not charge a fee, you were saying.
No, I don't.
Okay, so how do you think about compensation?
How do I think about it? Typically, I think that I like it.
I like the way you think, Nate, that's good.
I'd like more
That's
of
good.
it.
I mean, I don't know what I think.
Put it in
about
a jar.
Like
Yeah.
conversation.
I like money.
And you guys, I think one of the reasons that we're anytime there's change, there's opportunity, right? So somebody said when this change came around, you know, there are other places in the state that do 50-50 out of the 6% cooperative comp, right? So buyers right now get 2.4 in this area, maybe they get 3, maybe.
I found that out the hard way in Beloit.
Most areas.
I had a listing there and I had it at 2.4 and no one would show it. And then I put it to 3 and boom, it's sold.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. I didn't know that, like, I was just like, oh yeah, we do 12.
Right. Carly, how about you? How do you think about compensation?
So well, for one, I've been just like I said, I've been disclosing, the realtor fee to my buyers for like 1.5 years now. Started doing that because I had an investor, well, I actually needed to get better at also like explaining the buyer agency agreement because I'm like, this was in there. I had a minimum as well for buyers and I had someone get the settlement sheet and right before we closed and was like, wait, I didn't know you were getting paid. And I'm like, oh, this work I did for you. And so after that, and this was an investor that was like currently out of the state, but saw online and property. So I was literally like in houses, like showing properties for him. We bought multiple actually in that deal. And so I was like, I really did work for you and you weren't even here. And so that was like, okay, now I need to do a better job at disclosing. So a part of my buyer's consultation, whether it's a repeat buyer, like a buyer that has purchased before but may have not purchased with me, I have an expected expenses sheet. So some of that just has like, oh, earnest money, inspections, that stuff, but the last line on there is fee per realtor. And I have like what my minimum is, and then I just have been explaining like, hey, there are times that you like there, you know, you may not have to pay this fee, but I'm letting you know that this is what like I would get paid, whatever it says in the MLS, but this is my minimum. Now but the way I'm talking a little bit changes with lawsuits, and I'm just like, hey, like things are changing. I'll let you know if this changes, if you have to come out of pocket for this, but I've been kind of letting them know that. And before I even give them a chance, honestly, to ask, like, I usually start off already telling them in the beginning of the consultation, this is what I do, these are the services I provide. I just kind of go back to that, like, yeah, I get paid because I am showing you houses, negotiating contracts, and go down the line. And usually they're like, makes sense to me. I notice the difference in the way that people treat me as a professional. I've had people say like, I appreciate you being, you know, that shows your integrity, because for, you know, people think that realtors are just out to get money. And so when you're being honest with them, they're just like, I'll trust you. They respect me. They respect my boundaries in other spaces. So that's what I've been doing. I am not charging anything upfront right now. But considering it with how things are changing and also being a solo agent, like I'm putting in a lot of time. I don't have anyone else showing houses for me unless I'm like out of town and need to get someone. So I'm considering like maybe having a upfront fee.
Awesome, thanks for sharing. And I think one of the things that you talked about is that you share that list because it does kind of set the expectation of what they're looking for. So I'm gonna go all the way back. What expectation do you think surprises people the most? Or what do you think that they get, that they're most interested in terms of the service and the value that buyers agents provide? Tony. Tony.
Ask that one.
Expectations. What is when you're explaining to a customer, client, how a buyer works for them, is there anything that they expect that you don't do? Is there anything you do that they don't expect? What do you find the mismatch between the work that you do and the work that they think you do?
I think that the common misconception from consumers and buyers is that a realtor finds them homes, like finds them houses, right? Which is a big part of the value proposition we provide, but we're doing a lot more than that from start to finish. So when you're sitting down and you're doing a buyer strategy session or consultation, and you're essentially asking really good questions about their monthly budget and their finances, you're putting on your financial planner hat, right? When you're talking about current interest rates and lender options and programs and rate buy-down, you're putting this is financial planning, essentially, wealth management for them. And then searching and finding homes, yes, it's something that we do very well, better than they can on Zillow, right, or Realtor.com. But then, she hit on the head, negotiations and contracts. So now you're putting on your attorney hat, right? And then you have a home inspection. Now I have to put on my contractor. Like, we wear so many hats from start to finish that when you start to really dive through, we have like a little wheel of like what this process looks like, from meeting with a realtor to getting pre-approved, to then searching and finding homes, under contract, inspection, appraisal, and so forth. Each of those, you are wearing a completely different hat as a completely different professional, but you have to know how they all tie together to create an amazing experience and help them accomplish their goal. So for me, it really just depends on, when you're going over those areas, what sparks there, like, oh, wow, I didn't know you do that. Okay, let's, that's obviously something we want to spend more time on. So it depends on the conversation, but in every area, you're providing different value.
So the question was, what do I think people are surprised about with expectations regarding value? It's a good question. I don't know, but the way I look at it is this, so the whole value side of things is like the sales side, right? But I think that a lot of people struggle more with the marketing side than anything. They don't have enough people to provide the value to. And so the way I look at it is I spread a pretty wide net of marketing. And so a lot of my value is I'm there every single week, ready for when they're ready, right? Like I'm really good at follow-up. That's really part of the internet game. Like working with cold leads, when you're working with people that already know you, it's a little different. Then you need to provide your value, have a, set the expectations. But the way I look at it is and we've gone through this where do we get the most questions? And then how can we prevent those questions from ever happening by setting the expectation on the front end, right? So every time I have a conversation with them, I'm setting expectation for the next time they're gonna hear from me or the next time they're gonna hear from our team, right? So no matter what it is, they know what's happening next. And yeah, you'll get questions here and there, and then we say, okay, how can we have prevented this question from happening? Because the way to provide a great experience is to have them feel like, I know what's happening, like they never have to call me. If they never have to call us, like they probably have the best experience ever, right? So that's where I think a lot of the value is like, I'm the only person they think of when they're like, let's go buy a house or let's go sell a house.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's my thought.
Love that.
For me, I think it's, like Tony said, it depends on what it is when I'm setting expectations. Like if they ask a question about something and I'm like, all right, I need to explain this a little bit deeper. But honestly, what I've just been getting is that people are very much like valuing the fact that I'm educating them through the process. And I know I've told you this story, but I got into real estate because I had a horrible transaction. My realtor like never sat down and educated me on anything. I also had like a terrible lender. That was a whole different situation, but.
Did your realtor for a lender?
No, I should have listened to her, learned that. Don't go with just like random people that friends of a friend say. But because I didn't really know the process, I was kind of just going through it, and that was what made it stressful for me. So what I've been doing is just really educating people. So even people who have purchased homes years ago, but are now like purchasing or reselling with me, now that I'm actually still educating them on like how the market is now, how things go, they value that a lot better. So I think the education piece is really crucial, especially in the times that we're in now.
Absolutely. Actually, one of the things that Rick just said from the previous training that we were at was reach out to your folks and kind of educate them about what we know is happening in the industry right now in a way that welcomes change. Like, we're excited about this. There's some different things that are going on. This is what you need to know right now, is that we will continue to bring you value that resonates with you. So you guys, I'm very conscious of the time. We've got about 7 minutes left in the meeting. I'm gonna ask these guys to hang around just a little bit after the meeting if you have follow-up questions. We're gonna continue to take a deep dive into the buying process so that we feel very comfortable representing buyers, and we feel very comfortable understanding our worth and asking for compensation that's equitable for the work that we're putting in. So we'll bring more panels, more conversation down the road. I would invite all of you to plug in. Thank you guys for being.
We getting down?
Get down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thanks.
You were like, you're just gonna stay here.
No, you guys can stay here. All right, so you guys, just to wrap it up, I want to dive into a little bit of the, well, we have so much coming up. Our calendar is super, super busy. So We've got a Title 201 that's happening, as somebody told me it's the 15th, I've lost a day. Is it the 15th? 14th? Oh my gosh, it is the 14th. The Energage survey ends tomorrow, November 16th, that's Thursday, right? Thursday, everybody. Title 201 in Whitefish Bay, 12 to 1, lunch and learn. And then on the 16th, Thursday at 11 a.m., Abby Lacey will be dialing the smart plans. So join for that. On Friday, November 17th, Chris Ruskowitz is going to be here. She's going to be doing a lives and time blocking. She'd like to meet all of you. We're super excited about that. And then speaking of meet and greet and new people, we've got some new people to welcome. So Renee and Jen, you'll see downstairs. So we're excited about that. Okay, Friday, November 17th. This is all this week still, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Friday, November 17th, our very own Scott is going to be diving into the budget mastermind. Super, super important, protect your profit, especially with all of these conversations. I'm guessing that might be a little bit of the conversation Friday. Oh,
Yeah, in 12, there's that intro. 12 to 1 is an intro.
12 to 1, there's an intro.
If you've never been in it, come to that.
Okay,
'Cause
perfect.
that's a fresh start.
Perfect. Okay. And then next week, after this team meeting, we would like to invite all of you downstairs to a little Thanksgiving gathering opportunity to just spend a few minutes being grateful for all of you. I can't imagine a better group of people to be in business with. I'm excited that we get the chance to celebrate all of you. So that's next Tuesday, right after team meeting. Happy Thanksgiving then. It is Thanksgiving week next week. If you were like me and you thought it was a couple weeks down the road, it's not. It's next week. It's Thursday. We will be shutting down the offices on Wednesday at noon. You guys can still use your fob. It's all available, but our leadership team will be out. And if they're like me, they'll be trying to figure out what to cook. Might be lasagna this year. I'm not sure. Figure that out. And then in December, we've got some strategic visioning opportunities for you to dive into. So on Thursday, Tommy Choi, who's a $500 million producer in Chicago, will be highlighting our business planning conversation. That's from 9 to noon down at the Milwaukee County War Memorial. So we're very excited about that. Andy Hunt will also be joining us to kind of set the stage for the market that's coming up. And then Steph Minnick is a KW Max coach, and we'll be talking a little bit about how we think about setting your plan for next year. So if you can join us for that, that would be great. And then once you have your plan in place, this year particularly, if you can make it, it's an amazing opportunity to come to Family Reunion. It's in Vegas, which is a pretty accessible city in terms of financially getting there and staying there. We knew Mel Robbins was going to be a keynote speaker. Now we also know Tony Robbins will be a keynote speaker. If you've ever been in Tony's presence, you walk away feeling like you can conquer the world. I strongly encourage you to join. He's pretty amazing. We are in the last day of early bird pricing today. So if you think you're gonna go, today's a great day to save a couple $100 to buy your ticket, okay? Super excited about that. Registration right here. Okay, and then we're into December and there's some holiday parties. So December 1st, holiday party down at St. Kate's. Lisa Krickeberg wanted to remind everybody how cute she was on the glass. This is Krickeberg's cocktail hour. It will be from 3 to 6 on the, we don't have the date. On the 12th, Tuesday the 12th. We are also doing a white elephant. So given that we're coming up on Black Friday and sales are out there, our limit is $25. So if you guys want to buy a gift from that you can exchange, she's given me a list of notes, you guys. This is the list. So this is how the party's gonna roll. $25 gift, wrap it in brown paper bag. I'm not quite sure why. We can ask Lisa next time she's here. Okay. And that's what I have. We'll do the trends and insights later because it's 3 to 1 and like, it's all good. Okay? You good? Okay. Anybody want to buy or sell or listing coming soon? Talk about? Anybody got something big? Yeah.
I have 2 listings coming.
Awesome.
One in West Dallas, 98. Adorable, very fixed up, craftsman, so lots of nice woodwork, probably 2-story. And then in Greenfield, I have a 4-bedroom ranch with 2.5 baths, and that'll be at $325. So see me, you have buyers for either of those.
Congrats.
There could be one party away.
Opportunities, yes, and everything's negotiable.
I have a 3-bedroom, 1-bath ranch brick home in Milwaukee off of like 89th and Capitol Drive at 165,
Awesome,
starting Friday.
nice.
I have a couple of active listings right now that the sellers are extremely motivated in entertaining any and all fair and reasonable offers. 3-bed, 2-bath, 2,200 square foot condo in Waukesha at 365 on Cedar Hollow. A 4-bed, 1.5 bath colonial in Brown Deer on Beth Ann Drive. And we have a downtown Racine condo right on the lake on Main Street. And then also Mine Right is selling our first flip property. Yeah, so it's a 3-bed, 2 full bath Cape Cod in West Allis on South 78th Street. Everything has been updated, new roof, new windows, doors, gutters, basement bracing, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, from the floor to the roof, to the wall.
Mari, let them know, like Mari was our contractor.
Yeah, the general contractor was Mari Irish /
Howie.
Howie.
KW agent.
Yes, Keller Williams agent, her and her husband Jay do incredible work. Unless she's worked with a lot of other agents in the office, but we're very excited. It's going to be going live on Thursday with showing starting on Friday.
Awesome, congrats.
260 for the flip.
Terry.
I have a listing that's been out there a little bit in Mequon. It's a great neighborhood, 629. Sellers are very motivated, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, almost an acre, great neighborhood. Like, I met all the neighbors at my open houses, and there's a Olympic skater that lives, she does a whole ice park or ice rink for the neighbors. It's a really cool neighborhood. And then I have an off-market possibility for Condo Quantico, 7 acres, 1.275. And it's like 5 bedrooms, 5,000 square feet, a sport court, 4-car garage. So
wow.
Yeah, so that could be off market.
All right. Anyone else? All right, and release to the wilds. We have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you guys.
I got to reload. It's an upper unit condo, but it has a straight rail trailer, and it has a 6-step walk-in tub shower. So it was literally designed for mobility issues. And yeah, the sellers are very motivated. It's beautiful. I think it's right on the border of Milwaukee and Waukesha, Cedar Hollow.
Okay.
I think that's the
Yep.
right?